Tell him, McCluskey. Tell him what time it is.
Little Hen says it's time to rock and roll.
All you people are so scared of me.
Come quietly or there will be trouble.
Man, that's just me.
I'm Batman.
This is Sparta!
There is a tiger in the bathroom!
I'm an excellent driver.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Pop quiz, hot shot.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
Personality Matrix suggests a 78.3% chance of regression to old behavior patterns. Grand Theft Auto. Assault with a deadly weapon. Resisting arrest. Would you like to talk to a human?
No, I am okay. Thank you.
Are you being sarcastic and or abusive?
Negative.
Hello and welcome to this week's Monday Tuesday movie show. It doesn't make sense calling it Monday Tuesday movies. It sounds like I'm going to burst out in the Happy Days theme song there.
It's funny, we are a day late, but we are dead on, bang on 8 o'clock.
Yeah, it's 8:01, but that's obviously because you've got the intro and all that stuff. But anyway, we're live on a Tuesday on the 10th of March 2015, and Andrew can tell us the reason why.
Well, it was a mix of... I've not been well the last couple of days, but yesterday as well, because I was trying to see things, and there's still, unfortunately, a film I wasn't able to see for this week, so apologies for that. That is a film called Hyena, which I wasn't able to see, and I do want to see it as well, because it's a British film, which you don't get many British films really in cinema release.
So we'll just flow straight into what's actually we are reviewing on this week's show. In the cinema section, we're looking at 5 films instead of 6. They are...
Yeah, Neil Blomkamp's back with Chappie, his futuristic sort of science fiction twist on the whole artificial intelligence thing, which quite a few films are like now. We have Vince Vaughan back in comedy Unfinished Business. We have the award-winning performance in Still Alice of Julianne Moore. I almost forgot her name there. And then we also have, rounding out with a couple of smaller releases, with a true story drama of Kill the Messenger, and I think it's adapted to a book with Shailene Woodley. Yeah, Woodlow just didn't sound right. Shailene Woodley in White Bird in a Blizzard,
which is a stupid name for a film. And on Blu-ray and DVD, we're looking at these few films.
We have horror in Ouija. It's one of those weird words. It's pronounced Ouija, but it's spelled Ouija.
Yeah, it's just like dilemma, the word dilemma, where people think it's got an M and an N in it when it's actually 2 M's because the N was a misspelling in a dictionary one time. So yeah,
just don't remind me of the word of the film though, because that was awful. They have another award nomination film in The Imitation Game. We have a good British drama film with 71. We have a fairly British cast in The 100-Foot Journey, and we're rounding out with Nightmare.
Or Dark Circles, as it's known as in the US. And we'll also look at the Blu-ray and DVD top 10, the UK box office top 10, some movie news, and do a TV movie of the week plus movie of the week. Make sure you check out the website mondaymovieshow.co.uk, Twitter at Monday Movie Show, Facebook.com/Monday Movie Show, and you can email us mondaymovieshow@yahoo.com. That's all that stuff out the way with, and so let's go into some movie news.
Yep, piece of movie news I've got is just regarding the release of Zoolander 2, which has been given a confirmation of release date via Twitter. A post of an image of Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson in character walking along the catwalk during the Valentino Women's Collection fashion show. With the two of them on there confirming that the release date for the sequel of the movie starring the ridiculously good-looking model Derek Zoolander will be released on February 12th, 2016.
I've not seen Zoolander.
It's one of those films that I have to admit, Ben Stiller's films, to me, a lot of the time, first time round, I found them a bit odd and didn't really get into them, and then afterwards gone back to them sometime later. Tropic Thunder in particular I love. I think it's actually genius, and there's very mixed reactions to that. You have Dodgeball as well, which isn't really him, but he's playing the villain in it, and he's brilliant in it, and it's a brilliant film, which the first time I saw it I didn't like it. Now I think it's an absolutely hysterical comedy. And also things like Zoolander as well. It's the kind of thing he's shown also that he can do good acting directing, good, not comedy directing with Secret Life of Walter Mitty, but he does have a weird sense of humour, which I'm kind of admitting now I'm finding a lot more pertinent to me. So I'm looking forward to Zoolander too.
Yeah, Stuart in the live chat has just called it brilliantly Poolander. It's just it's terrible.
Okay, I will challenge him. I will ask him then how long ago it is since he saw it, and if it's been more than 5 years, go back and watch it, because it's one of those things that it's a comedy that, oddly enough, has aged better than a lot of other comedies have aged badly.
Pass. To be honest, pass, because like I said, I've not seen it. I have no intentions to see it, to be honest.
It's just said more than 5 years, so I'm gonna challenge him to go back and watch it. I will, because he does a British show as well, and From Page to Screen. So I will see Hyena this week if I can, and so I challenge him to go and see or rewatch Zoolander and see if
And then maybe
he'll give it a go.
And then maybe both of you can actually do a podcast together, because it's been a while since you have done that, and see what your thoughts are on it. So that might be interesting. Now, the piece of news that I thought that you would have gone for, I haven't actually wrote it down, so that's the reason why I didn't write it down, because I thought you were actually going to go for it, is there's going to be another Ghostbusters movie. This time produced by Channing Tatum, and supposedly starring Channing Tatum, going to be directed by Joe Anthony Russo, who are responsible for Captain America the Winter Soldier. Rumoured them are going to be directing it, considering that they are directing the next 2 parts of the Avengers films. If that's the case, they're going to be really busy. And now, by the looks of things, Chris Pratt might be joining that cast. And also, it was rumoured that it was going to be an all-male cast to go alongside Paul Feig's all-female casts. And now, that is being thrown out the window and saying that the predominant, main characters in the film are going to be male, but there is going to be a female cast in it as well.
Yeah, I'm not. You're bigger a fan of the Ghostbuster franchise than I am. I've still not really into it. It's not my kind of film, because I don't like sort of horror and that kind of thing. Even though it's not really horror, I'll admit that. But it's a film that ever since I was younger didn't really go for me. But this sounds like desperation. They're just trying to flog a dead horse as much as they can and get as much out of they can quickly, because they realise as soon as they start releasing things, it's just going to drop to nothing. It's going to do badly.
Yeah, according to Sony, they want to make it into a universe. So what they're doing with the Spider-Man films, which I'll get onto a bit of Spider-Man news in a moment, they're making it into a universe by having the Sinister Six movie, and so they want to expand the Ghostbusters series into a universe as well, and supposedly have different versions of Ghostbusters in different cities of America. It's just Sony, like you said, clutching at straws. I'm a huge Ghostbusters fan, and me, Mark, and Saxon from Following the Nerd agree on the fact that it's not down to the cast being predominantly male, it's not down to the cast being predominantly female. It's just the fact what Sony is doing to the series rather than who's actually in the films. For me, also, it's down to the director of the all-female one, Paul Feig, because I don't like him. I don't think he's an interesting director at all, and so I don't think he'll be able to bring anything new or anything good to the Ghostbusters series. It's just
really annoying as well. Today I saw another trailer for a new film that he's got upcoming as well.
Yeah, honestly, Paul Feig cannot direct a movie to save his life, and it's just what Sony is also doing to the Ghostbusters universe. They are destroying the childhood of a lot of people. Because Ghostbusters, I grew up with Ghostbusters, the first film, the second film, and the cartoon, The Real Ghostbusters. And they are destroying a childhood. I know you can go back and watch them again because it'll never change that series, but it's going to tarnish the series for people who are getting in it from a new standpoint of view. They're not going to want to go back and watch the original films. They instead want to go and watch the horrible, horrible movies that Sony are trying to do now.
Yeah, it's just franchising of anything really that really just kind of kills it off.
Yeah, that's the annoying. Sticking with Sony and, as I mentioned, Spider-Man news, is according to rumours, Sony have approached Drew Goddard, the director of Cabin in the Woods and Cloverfield, to write and direct the next standalone Spider-Man movie.
No, see, I mean, I can see why they've done that, because obviously his connection with Joss Whedon, because Joss Whedon worked with him on Cabin in the Woods and wrote Cabin in the Woods largely with him. So I can see the connection being made there. I don't have a problem with that. I just question whether or not is he going to be able to do it. Is it
Yes.
something that he'll want to do? I mean, I'm open to it. It's the fact of it's a big film like that, and I mean, he did great with Cloverfield, but Spider-Man's not a found footage film, and Spider-Man isn't a horror film, so.
Yeah, but I'm going to fully stick up for Drew Goddard. The reason being is because I've seen Cabin in the Woods a couple of times. I've also seen Cloverfield a couple of times. I've watched the making of documentaries of each one of them. I've listened to the commentaries on each one of them. Drew Goddard, if you take everything out of the equation, Drew Goddard is stupidly passionate when it comes to comic books. The influences behind Cabin in the Woods and Cloverfield are very comic book heavy, and he's a huge, massive comic book fan. And a massive comic book fan as well. One of his favourite characters is Spider-Man. He knows the character a lot more than a lot of these directors who have handled Spider-Man films do. And so if anybody who can handle a Spider-Man movie, it would be Drew Goddard. He's got a passion when it comes to his films. Look how much he stuck by Cabin in the Woods. He could have walked away from it after the film was just put on the shelf by Lionsgate. He could have just said, "No, I don't want anything else to do with the movie." But he constantly pressured the studio to release the film. And so he's passionate about comics. He's passionate about Spider-Man. And so I think they've gone to the right person to maybe inject some life back into the series, because I think the last two Amazing Spider-Man movies have just been retreads of what Sam Raimi did with the original trilogy, with the first three films. And they didn't have a life of their own. They didn't feel fresh at all. So I'm glad that they've gone to somebody who knows the series.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds good then. I didn't know that about him, so that is a step up in the right direction.
Yeah. Other news is Liam Hemsworth and Jesse Usher have joined the cast of the Independence Day sequel. Usher will play the son of Will Smith's character from the first film. Hemsworth's role has not been fully revealed, apart from the fact that he will play the lead character. Jeff Goldblum is also set to return.
Yeah, I mean, as the thing was with Independence Day, it was a big effects thing. It was a groundbreaking effects movie. Now, I mean, they're going to have to come up with something more than just more Independence Day. They're going to have to do something different. So otherwise, it's just going to be one of these sequels that people go, "Oh yeah, I've seen it before, nothing there, that's it."
As Stuart in the live chat said, Hemsworth will be playing a plank of wood.
No, that was Chris Hemsworth in the Michael Mann film recently.
Yeah, Liam Hemsworth was the plank of wood in the previous Expendables movie. Expendables.
Oh, also, and in that one that got straight to video here, I can't remember the name of it now, with Harrison Ford.
Yeah, I know which one you mean. I think it got released on.
Yeah.
I think it did get released on like 4 screens or something like that. But yeah, there is a third Hemsworth brother as well. He's an actor, so they're like the Baldwins. Help. The live action Akira movie is stalled, according to the director. During an interview with Collider, Wham Colette Serra was asked about the state of the movie, to which he replied, "No, there's nothing." Colette Serra also said that only Warner Brothers, the studio behind the project, knows where the movie is. In a bin.
It's been like that. It's been like that for about 20 years.
Yeah,
it's gone on and on. It's never going to happen. It's just never going to happen. To be honest, it is one of those films that it's going to be a nightmare to bring it to real life. It's not going to be an easily. First of all, a film that is going to be easy to translate to an English audience, because if it's been made obviously American audience, it will be from Japanese. There's story elements that will not entirely make sense. If you ever watched Akira, there's actually 2 versions of it with the English audio language, because they did it originally really badly as they did during the 80s with the dubbing, really horrible. And it didn't really make sense. And then they did it again properly when they did a 25th anniversary release of it, and that was better. But still, if you watch the English language version, it's not as good as watching the original Japanese with the subtitles, because it makes more sense with the original dialogue and the original wording. So the story is not one, first of all, that's going to be easy to translate, and then the visuals, even for the modern age now, we can do a lot with CGI. The visuals of this film will still push the limits of what is capable by today's standards.
exactly. It's what Warner Brothers is going to have to do to get anything close to the manga film is they're going to have a budget in excess of 200 million plus. And I don't think they want to actually put that kind of budget behind a movie that only diehard manga fans know. Because if you take the manga out of the equation, if you ask people, do they know about the film Akira? The everyday film goer will not know about the series Akira. You need to sort of like know your manga a little bit to know Akira, or be into manga, know what manga is to know the film Akira. It's not out there. It's not like maybe he's had a chance like Fritz Lang's Metropolis. It's nothing like that. So,
you know, thinking about it, there's only one person who I can think of to say, yes, give it to that man. They will be able to bring it to the screen in a, not necessarily perfect adaptation, but will be the only one to bring it to the screen and it will work and be good. And that's Christopher Nolan. I say give it to him.
Maybe, yeah, Christopher Nolan could have a stab. I say do a Ju-on, put Guillermo del Toro in there as well. Because he can handle the insanity, sort of like body modification elements of it. He'll be able to handle that kind of stuff. Christopher Nolan can handle the dark grittiness of it, and no James Cameron. No, can't direct himself out of a paper bag.
And he's already committed now to the two the two sequels to Avatar, which is going to be at least another 3-4 years working on them.
Yeah, Avatar 2 is going to be in 4D, Avatar 3 is going to be in 5D, and Avatar 4 is going to be Nobody Cares D, to be honest. Final piece of news is this, well, another piece of news that I related to on Following the Nerd, which I found really stupid, was Lake Placid and Anaconda is getting a combined movie, and it's going to be shown on the Sci-Fi Channel.
They're going to be Lake Placid Anaconda?
Something like that, but Sci-Fi Channel digging at straws, but... My proper last piece of news is, according to THR, this is ridiculous as well, by the way, Tim Burton has been hired by Disney to make a live-action version of Dumbo.
Oh, yes, I did see this just this afternoon, briefly, and I literally did a double take it, and I thought, that can't be real.
It is 100% real, and it's going to be a cross between live-action and CGI.
See, the thing is, he's just that much of a nutbar that he'll probably pull this off. Either that or it would be a complete disaster, but if anyone's going to try and do it and have a chance of doing a live-action Dumbo, you got to admit Tim Burton's probably one of the ones that might manage it.
Yeah, as Stuart's just said, Johnny Depp to play Dumbo, so where does Helena Bonham Carter fit in? Because she has to be in absolutely everything that Tim Burton does, so does Johnny Depp, so you can just imagine a Jack Sparrow-esque Dumbo.
Johnny Depp will be like the ringmaster. You laugh, you sort of laugh in disgust, but tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, let's just go on to the box office top 10. Now, the box office top 10 this week is slightly strange because we are doing the show on a Tuesday, so it's much more up to date than what is on the site. So if you go to the site tomorrow, that's Wednesday for people in podcast land, you'll find the more up to date box office top 10. But starting at number 10 is It Follows,
which I haven't seen, and I was actually going to try and see this at the weekend with my other half. As much as I don't like horror, it's the kind of horror that I don't mind. It's not a weird sort of ghost sort of thing. It's one that looks like it's interesting, and your review of it actually made me interested to see it.
Yeah, because it is not like straightforward horror. It's a homage to the sort of like 70s and 80s John Carpenter kind of movies. You can definitely tell the director has taken a lot of influences from John Carpenter's movies. Even so, some films like Friday the 13th and things like that, taking the creepiness of it rather than the slasher element of it. And it's got storylines which is very much akin to movies like Teeth and Mia. So sort of like very indie horror. It's not like quiet band kind of thing. It's kind of stuff that's supposedly there to creep on your skin. At number 9 is a new entry for Unfinished Business.
Yeah, which we will get to in a little while because we're actually reviewing it since it officially was released this week.
Yeah, and the same with the film at number 8, which is a new entry for Still Alice, which is slightly lower than I expected it to be.
We'll get to it. We'll get to those when we are doing the second half of the sort of cinema part.
Yeah, and at number 7 is Kingsman: The Secret Service.
Yeah, this is I think it's a very nicely well done. I think it's a good sort of homage to the classic Bond films. I think it's getting a lot of sort of bad flack because of the ending scene, but I think that's been taken out of context because of the fact of if you go back and look, especially at the Roger Moore Bonds, and see all of those, most of them have something like that at the end. Maybe not as extreme for the higher rating, but still as outlandish, especially in the day they were made. And so I don't have a problem with that. And this, I think it's great. I think it's a fun action film, but also it's a nice homage to it. It does what it says and it sets out to, I think.
Yeah, and Stuart there pulling out the movie gloves, saying his friend is in Kingsman in a fight scene in a subway tunnel. I wonder if he gets his bottom kicked.
I'm trying to remember if the fight scene in the subway tunnel.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in Kingsman that it's hard to pinpoint. Maybe the smaller scenes.
Maybe it was filmed in a tunnel, but I don't know if it was set in a tunnel.
Yeah, maybe. Well, at number 6,
I want to see it again, though. I actually want to see it again.
I have no time to see it again, to be honest. At number 6 is Shaun the Sheep, the movie.
Bah.
That was bad. That was bad.
That's what I said. Bad.
Well, how can you say it was bad? Have you seen it?
No. I was just making a joke. It's, what do you think of it? 'Cause you've seen it. I want to see it. It's Oddman, but I haven't had a chance.
So, in other words, but I feel sorry for Kat, who's also in the live chat. For the next week, you're going to be spending a lot of time in the cinema, camping in the cinema.
I tried to convince her to go and see this. She won't go and see it.
Go and see it. It's 88 minutes of pretty much fun. It's entertaining for what it is. Andy hasn't seen Shaun the Sheep.
Thank you very much, Stuart. Yeah, saying I haven't seen it. That's it.
Stuart, just a slight note. In the live chat, Andy has the power to ban you, so be nice.
Ooh.
I shouldn't have said that. At number 5 is Big Hero 6.
Another one again. I still haven't seen, and I actually really want it, and I'm actually annoyed because it's just not worked out for me to be able to see it, and I am really wanting to see it because it's one of those films that the buzz on it is so great, and even though I expect it's not going to live up to the hype, I kind of know it is.
Yeah, it's been released now on Blu-ray in the US. So it's out there. You can import a copy there. It's still being shown on multiple screens in the cinema as well, and I don't think it's as good as Shaun the Sheep, the movie, surprisingly, but it's still a really entertaining film apart from the superhero stuff, which I got a little bit annoyed at. At number 4 is a new entry for Chappie, which we'll get onto it.
Yeah.
And number 3 is 50 Shades of Grey.
Which is, I didn't have as much of a problem with it. I think a lot of the reaction to it, the very negative reaction, because most of the reaction has been negative, but I think the most negative reactions to it have been because of the build-up of the hype. I think if it hadn't been so hyped, it wouldn't have been hated so much as it has been. I'm not saying it's a very good film. In fact, I'm not saying it's a great... It's just... there are things about it that I like. The story, not the sex scenes. The sex scenes are actually boring, to be honest. They are terrible, but I like some elements of it and of what it's trying to do. I don't think it's successful, but I don't think it's anywhere near as bad as people are making it out to be. Just to note that Stuart actually posted about the in the chat. Stuart from Page to Screen. Stuart was posting saying about that Jamie Dornan was rumoured to not be appearing in the sequels as they're going ahead, but supposedly now he will be.
Yeah, a couple of bits on 50 Shades of Grey. I thought the film was really bad. The dialogue is clunky beyond clunky, and that's down to E.L. James's original source material. The book is, from what I've heard, I've never read the book, is really badly written. And so if you take a really badly written book, try to turn it into a film, even though the person who was working on the script was the one who did the script for Saving Mr. Banks, that was nearly thrown out of the window by E.L. James again, who said she wants to be involved in it, and she ripped it up and practically rewrote it and did her clunky dialogue again. But two pieces of things that I found really interesting is, if you go to see the film in China, you will get black banners put up against any nudity in the film. So there is one scene where it's just specifically both the lead characters, who are completely naked, so it's just a screen in black, which is an interesting way to see the film. And if you go to see the film in Vietnam, all the sex scenes has been cut out of the movie. So 20 minutes of the film has been completely removed.
I wonder if that would make it better.
Try to put that in context, though. You've got a movie that the whole book is based around bondage and sadomasochism, and you're cutting that out of the film itself. So it's just going to play like a really boring drama. Genius idea.
It's the thing as well. I mean, it's the fact of that you should see the number of double entendres going on in the live chat. It's the fact of it is one of these films where it's all about the shock and the hype, and I think that's just worked against it in any way it possibly could have. It's
past the $500 million worldwide mark.
Yeah,
it's just ridiculous amounts that E.L. James is rubbing her hands in glee. And number 2 is gone up from number 3 is Focus.
Yeah, a surprising move in the box office. And I got to say, it's a film that I went into it really not sure what to expect. Low expectations, basically thinking this is going to be not a great... I wasn't impressed by what I'd seen of it. But I enjoyed it. I liked it. I liked some of the story twists. Some of it was a bit predictable, but there were a couple of things in it that I didn't expect, and I was pleased by that. And it's not a top film for Will Smith, but it's in the right direction. He's done certainly better. He's done a lot worse. And it's nice to see him doing a film where he's actually having to act and not just smile at the camera, wink, and look attractive.
Will Smith's kid is not in Focus.
Was that meant to be a joke, or?
No, it's a double joke. But Stuart was just asking there, is Will Smith's kid in Focus? And to my knowledge, no.
Just slightly.
So I'm guessing he is not in Focus, is he?
No, not that I recognised, no.
Yeah, I thought he wouldn't be. And at number 1, still number 1 from last week, is the second best exotic Marigold Hotel.
Which I haven't seen, and you have, so...
Yeah, it has too many storyline strands. Damn it, teeth put in. Need to for the first review of the night. But yeah, it has too many storyline strands. As the fact that it decided to take Dev Patel's character from the first movie and elevate him up to more of the lead role in this one to make his strands sort of like resonate with the younger audience in a way, with it being about him getting married and the troubles of them trying to actually get the wedding together. But you've also got the rest of the storyline strands which revolve around the old occupants of the Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, and there are too many of them. It makes the movie feel messy. The film is saved by the very good acting and the brilliant cinematography. It's just, it feels too TV movie-like. It just didn't feel like something that belongs on the big screen.
Nice to see, though, that Dev Patel having 2 films in the top 5.
Yeah... Yep, Alicia Vikander has probably beaten him on that front a couple of weeks ago when she had like 4 films out within the space of 2 weeks or so. So, yeah. Right, on to the first review of the night, and that's led nicely into Chappie, which is Neil Blomkamp's 3rd film. Technically, it would have been his 4th movie, because his 3rd film was originally going to be the Halo movie, but that completely fell flat. And he originally had the idea of Chappie before he did Elysium, because he wasn't sure if he was going to do Elysium or not, because he was involved with the Halo movie. Then he went off and did Elysium, and he had the idea for Chappie. And Chappie is originally, in his mind, a trilogy of films. And so I don't think he'll have enough time, because he is now going to be doing the next Alien movie. So I don't think he'll have time to actually do a Chappie 2 and 3. But this one centres around Dev Patel's character, who plays Dion, and it's set in Johannesburg like his previous 2 movies, because he says that this is a part of a trilogy anyway. And it centres around Dev Patel's character, who plays Dion. He works at this huge, massive weapons conglomerate corporation, which is headed up by Sigourney Weaver. And in this, he creates these police robots who go out and help the police, specifically in the violent crimes of Johannesburg, because it's now sort of a run-down city where violence took over, but because of the introduction of these police robots, it's now calmed down a lot, because a lot of police officers have now managed to keep themselves back and not be put in the form of danger. On the opposite side of Dev Patel's character, you've got Hugh Jackman, who is involved, who wants more like a moose kind of robot, a huge, massive, hulking beast of a robot, to go out there and use all the amount of guns and missiles and rockets and explosions that this can create. However, Sigourney Weaver's character, she's not interested in that. She's more interested in the more humane way that their Dion's robot can actually do. Now, if you look on the flip side of things, and in the slum areas of Johannesburg, you've got these 2 characters who are played by the South African rap group The Antwoord, who are Ninja and Yolandi. and they actually play themselves in the movie. You've got some of their memorabilia in the background, and they're involved in gang warfare, and they're told that they need to get $25 million in 7 days. If not, they'll be killed. And they think of an idea of stealing a key which can control all of these robots to try and control the robots for themselves so they can fight on their side to stop them. Now, the only way they can do that is by kidnapping Dion, who is the lead controller on these robots, and one of the robots, which is sort of like out there to be destroyed. Now, this robot turns out to be Chappie, and Chappie has supposedly got, let's just say he's a nicer robot than what's out there. Here's a clip of Dion going to Sigourney Weaver's character for him to try and persuade her about Chappie.
Morning, Dion.
All right. Let's have it. What are you proposing now?
I think I've cracked it. The world's first proper, full artificial intelligence. This is a computer system that might be smarter than a human. I could show it a piece of art, and this thing, this being, could judge that art. It could decide if it liked it. It could write music and poetry.
Stop, please, Dion. Do you realize you just came to the CEO of a publicly traded weapons corporation and pitched a robot that can write poems?
Stuart, in the live chat, that's a really bad joke. When Chappie was first created, did he wear a Chappie nappy? Now, the thing with Chappie is he's got baby qualities, and he's taught by the de-advert people, raising him up like a baby. But he can learn much faster than what babies can. And the rest of the film is about them raising Chappie, but then maybe he's this tank, this horrible, big, huge, massive hulking robot from Hugh Jackman's side of things might take forefront. Now, the thing with Chappie is, I personally think this is Blomkamp's worst film. I liked Elysium. I like the ideas that come from Elysium and the social, political element of Elysium, the mixture between poor and rich. I think he got that right. District 9 is a fantastic film. Sholto Copley is brilliant in that movie. The problem I had with Chappie is the fact that Chappie can become really annoying. He's a really annoying character at times. He's got I can see the elements of Jar Jar Binks in him, even though Jar Jar Binks is a despicable, deplorable character, and it is not as bad as that. But I can also see elements of things like Short Circuit in him as well. And so at times Chappie can be really annoying himself. And the film itself, it just lags a little bit in the middle because it just doesn't know what it wants to be. It doesn't know whether it wants to be an over-the-top, hyper-violent, big, huge, massive, explosive action film, or a children's movie which features a talking robot. And so it doesn't know what it wants to be. There are good elements of the movie. Sigourney Weaver, she handles a character really well. Dev Patel also, I think he plays his character pretty decently in Dion. And Hugh Jackman, with a mullet and the shortest shorts ever on any scientist, with a jumper tucked in as well, is just... He enjoys the role that he's playing, and surprisingly enough, de-advert, they are not annoying in the movie. Even though I think Yolandi is a bit, her voice is very high pitched, and I know who de-advert is, so it is surprising. They are a very extreme rap group who make interesting videos. Let's just say, just go on to YouTube and watch their music video for their song "Enter the Ninja." And you can see what the advert are like. And so they didn't get on my nerves. Ninja is sort of like, he tries to teach Chappie to be very street-like, but also gets him into trouble a lot. Whereas Yolandi is sort of like the mother of it. She's you could see that she wants children, and Chappie is her baby. They didn't get on my nerves. It's just the fact that the movie is very, very split in what it wants to be. And I think that harmed the movie more so than helped it.
I kind of agree. I liked it, but because we were talking about this afterwards. The fact Neil Blomkamp did before this did Elysium and did District 9, and we both agree District 9 is his best one. We differ on opinion as to where Chappie is in that. I think I like Chappie more than you do, if I remember.
Yeah.
And I think I think Elysium is his poorest, but you think sort of Elysium was better than this.
Yeah, I do.
And I mean, things like I have issues with this. Things like, I mean, the action is sort of unbalanced. It doesn't know if it's trying to be do action scenes or if it's trying to do the whole thing of, you know, the short circuit thing, as you said, of the robot being raised and developing a personality. And I also found that, especially towards the end, it adds in kind of a plot element that I found really just, it felt tacked on and unnecessary. It felt as if it was trying to please everyone that it shouldn't. It should have just stuck to what it was doing originally. And one thing I was really getting annoyed with all the way through it was the constant use of slow motion in the action sequences, because it started to feel like it was being, you know, Michael Bay was influencing it somehow. And I don't know where that came from, because it's not slow motion isn't sort of a big thing in his previous films, and I hope it's not a trend. But I liked it. I do think though it's slightly better than Elysium, but I mean, the one thing I will say about it that I absolutely loved, the motion capture and the performance and the CG of Chappie, the robot, is perhaps the best I've ever seen. I honestly was watching it and I literally there's moments where I'm thinking, this genuinely looks as if it's a real walking around robot. It doesn't look like it's motion capture. It looks like a walking robot.
That's because it's handled by Weta, because Neil Blomkamp and Peter Jackson, they were originally going to work on the Halo movie, and they both established a big friendship during that film, and so they used Weta to do the Chappie's movements.
Yeah, and it's totally paid off, and that was the thing that was crucial. I think that's why I liked it more, because I was able to connect with the character. I got the character. I believed it. I didn't think, oh look, it's a puppet on strings. It's an actual. I was literally with it. I thought it was a robot. As much as I know it's an effect, my eyes and my brain were deceived.
Yeah, I agree with you on Chappie's creation. I think Chappie is a very well realised, very brilliantly created, constructed robot. And so Andy Serkis in a way has got a little bit of a challenge with Sholto copying. Just imagine if both of them worked together on a film, if they were both in motion capture, because Andy Serkis handles the character, because he was in the suit as well. Sholto Copley was in the suit playing Chappie, so his movements are mapped with Chappie as well, and so Andy Serkis and Chappie working together in a film, that might be an interesting one. Also, I think the film looks really nice for the budget. It's a $49 million budget.
Yeah.
And that again, it sounds a lot of money, but to the standards that this film is at, that's not a lot of money considering what you see on screen. It's surprising what a lot of directors now can manage to get from a budget of below $60 million or less. You look at the Lego Movie. I still think the Lego Movie is the upper echelon of movies that have used their budget to the last cent, because that was a $60 million budget. This one, again, Neil Blomkamp has squeezed every tiny little cent out of the budget to get what he has on screen, because there is some big scope in the film. It isn't just a tiny, small movie in the small little areas and slums of Johannesburg. There is some big elements of the film, and I'm guessing Chappie must have cost a lot of money to create.
Stuart in the live chat asking, how does it compare to films such as AI or Bicentennial Man?
I don't think it compares to Bicentennial Man. It's got little bits and bobs of AI, but the problem with both of them is it's more humans who became robots. Chappie is trying to be like a human. He's created originally as a robot itself to help humans, to sort of like as a police officer, as just somebody to stand in there. So I don't think it compares very well with AI or Bicentennial Man. It's more very much like Short Circuit.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was reminded at times of that. I think as well, it does a fairly good job of, because I mean, AI films recently have been a big thing. We've had Deus Ex Machina. Ex Machina. We had, and also we had the Johnny Depp one as well, which was the whole thing of AI and sort of things like that. And I think this does a good. Yeah, I think this does a good job of setting up the whole thing and then running with it better than those films did.
I agree with that, yeah. Right, on to the next review then.
Yeah, which is Unfinished Business, which is from director Ken Scott, who's working again with Vince Vaughn. He worked previously with him on Delivery Man. Here he's working with him this time with Vince Vaughn playing a man who is a salesman. At the very start of the movie, we're shown him returning to his office after being out on sort of a business trip for a couple of days. He ends up sort of walking out after being told he's going to have to take a 5% pay cut. He has sort of a public confrontation with his boss, played by Sienna Miller. After that, he's sort of walking out, catches on a couple of people out on his way out. Tom Wilkinson being sort of a senior sales agent who is being sort of forced into retirement, and Dave Franco is a guy who's also been there for a interview but not been successful, turning up with a box of things and looking as if he's actually been fired, but he's not. It's his way of showing sort of commitment. He ends up sort of hiring the two of them to become sort of his own sales team, and tries to get involved in sort of taking on Sienna Miller's company in competition. Cut to a year later, and the whole thing is not going well. They're in the red in pretty much all their money, and they're struggling to try and get a deal, which is sort of the crucial thing. If they don't manage it, they'll be completely bankrupt. Turns out they're not the only ones going for it. Sienna Miller's characters are also up for it, and they have to go to Germany, of all places, to try and win over people. Here's a clip.
Flügelschlagen.
Why is the GPS in German?
Because I asked for it in German. Because we're in Germany.
That's not... It doesn't work like that.
But don't you need it to have the German information in it? Like the German bridges and the German streets and such?
The English would have the German streets in it, in bridges. They would just tell you to turn right and left in English so you could understand. Damn it, Mike.
Flügelschlagen. Flügelschlagen.
What does that mean? Sea pancake? I don't know.
Falsche Richtung, verdammter Idiot!
I'm a guest here in your land, but thanks.
Flügelschlagen, Dan?
So, here's the thing with this movie. I was looking forward to it on the basis of there are not many comedies out now that are actually worth seeing. And the thing is, with Delivery Man, which they worked on together before, was actually a pretty good one. It wasn't great, but it had moments in it that made you laugh, and it also did that rare thing of being able to balance comedy with a serious subject at times as well. Because a lot of films, when they try and do that, they try and mix the two together, and it doesn't have any idea which one it's trying to do, and it fails at both. This doesn't try and do that. This just tries to be a comedy, but it is trying to be a bit of a drama in there as well. This is where it has a problem, because it's got these two subjects. You have this whole thing of them on this business trip. They end up going there to try and woo over these people. In amongst the sort of the team that they're there to try and woo over is a character played by Nick Frost. Now, I'm not going to say exactly what it is, but basically I'm going to go and basically say to it, there are some jokes in this that it's not anywhere near as bad as some of the bad jokes in Hangover and Hangover 2, but it goes in that direction, and it in particular goes in that direction with some gay jokes that I think are very kind of edgy and misjudged in some cases. You have some scenes in it where it's trying to be funny, and you can see that it's trying to be funny, but it's not really succeeding. You have moments in it as well where it's just completely switches off the comedy in aid of drama, because Vince Vaughn's character is always FaceTiming back to his kids and his wife in America and dealing with them. He's got two kids. One is both are being sort of affected with things like bullying at school. So it's having the whole thing of him being kind of an absentee father, but dealing with it as he can, and it literally is. It doesn't need that. It could do without that, or it could be all about that. Don't try and do both when you don't need to do both. Just do one, stick at it, and do it better. There's a couple of ideas in it which I like, which I found there were witty ideas, didn't make me laugh. I honestly laughed 2 times in the whole film, and I have to admit, Dave Franco is the one that got the biggest laughs. And Dave Franco is, and the thing is, he's playing as you heard in that clip, dumb, stupid guy, and it's a thing of that. Even at that, the way they play it, there's an element to it that by the end of the film, when they explain more about his character, you actually feel kind of bad for laughing at him because it's to do with his character, and so it's kind of self-defeating in that manner. So it's a complete failure in regards to being a comedy, and it's a complete failure in regards to being anything else because it doesn't know what it wants to do.
How many laughs did you manage to do? Did you get anywhere close to the 6 laugh test?
No, 2 laughs, as I say, throughout the film, and then at the end, I was like, okay, I shouldn't have laughed at that because of the character. It actually made me feel guilty for laughing at the end. So
it got the tone completely wrong. It was just going for the wrong kind of thing.
The decisions, the comical decisions. There's things in it which are, I mean, it's, as I said, it reminded me at times of the Hangover series, and didn't go anywhere near as far across the line as it did. But it reminded me in particular of scenes and elements in Hangover 2, which is not a good thing.
Yeah, because if you look at the trailer, it sort of like just looks like another one of those buddy movies where they get into a bit of trouble with a little bit of slapstick humour. And from what you're seeing, they just go too far over the line, and very much like The Hangover Part 2 in that line there.
It's a shame as well, because if it wasn't for certain... Literally, if they cut out... Because it's only an hour and a half as well, it's not a long film. But if they cut out in the middle and certain parts of it, little bits here and there, I would have actually said, you know what? It's a better film. It's funnier. It doesn't cross that line. It knows where its boundaries are, but it doesn't.
Has it annoyed you more because of the fact that it is from the director of Delivery Man, considering that Delivery Man isn't a brilliant film, but it showed you that Vince Vaughn has got a good drama side to him as well as a comedy side to him?
Yeah, well, if you've seen him in the first film we ever see him in was Swingers. If you've seen him in that, as much as he's playing a comedic character in that, it's a drama. So you already know that Vince Vaughn can do drama. It's like Adam Sandler can do drama. But Vince Vaughn is falling into the Adam Sandler cliche.
But it just sounds like really annoying, the fact that the director did Delivery Man, and I quite like Delivery Man, even though it's got a few problems. It's got its heart in its right place at times, and this movie just feels like the director just lost the plot. Very much like Ruben Fleischer. After he did Zombieland, he went off and did 30 minutes or less.
Yeah, I mean, I still haven't seen 30 minutes or less, but I know that it's not good. It is a very similar sort of situation. Yeah, it's just basically, I think that it's kind of a thing of it's either a case of that this is what he's like, and he was held back on Delivery Man because it was kind of a big first film he's done, or it's a case of that now he's kind of got in over his head and ends up having to go into a film and not having the judgment to be able to say, leave that out, leave that on the editing floor, don't bother with that.
Yeah, it just sounds really annoying when a director does that. Right, on to the next film, completely different tone here with Still Alice. It's directed by Richard Glitzer and Wash Westmoreland, which is a really interesting name, and it stars the Oscar winner Julianne Moore, which is sort of like really deserved. She got a lot of plaudits for this one. I think she should have gotten a lot of plaudits also for Maps to the Stars as well, which you didn't like that much, but I really liked that film. Scarily I like that film, which surprised me. But in this one, she plays Alice Howland, who's she's a 50+. She's a renowned linguistics professor. She's really good at her job. She definitely knows the ins and outs of language and speech and things like that. And her life seems to be running really well. She's married to Alec Baldwin's character, who plays John in the film. They've got 3 kids, two of them played by Kate Bosworth and Kristen Stewart. And her life seems to be going fine. And then every now and again, she seems to forget a few things, which is understandable. People do that anyway. And starts to forget where her job is when she goes out for her early morning run and things like that. And she gets a bit worried, and with the help of her husband, goes to the doctor, and they do a few tests, and it's discovered she has very early onset Alzheimer's disease. It doesn't worry her at first, but she's thinking maybe she should tell her kids to get tested as well. They do the same. One of her daughters finds out that she's actually got the gene, who's played by Kate Bosworth. Problem is with her, she's pregnant, but it doesn't seem to affect her that much. However, with Alice, it seems to have taken on her even more, and so she's forgetting much more. Here's a clip which is her having a conversation with her daughter, who's played by Kristen Stewart.
Lydia, what time is your play? 8 o'clock.
Lydia, you nervous about tomorrow night?
Yes.
I mean, it'll be fine once I'm up there, but I'll definitely have to blot all of you out.
I'm sorry, what time did you say it was again?
8 o'clock.
Okay.
Mom, you don't have to schedule it. It's okay.
No, I want to put it in. And where is it?
The Saugatuck Theater.
Can you spell that?
Yeah, it's
Mom,
S-A-U...
it's not like we're going to forget to bring you
Just let her do it. It's S-A-U-G-A-T-U-C-K.
Anna, you're not helping.
No, you're not helping. Why should she worry about remembering something that she doesn't even have to remember? Well, if you just let her do it, she won't worry. What's the problem? We have to talk about our relation that's sitting right here. I'm not. I'm talking to her. Aren't I, Mom?
Yes, you are.
And so the rest of the film is centres around Alice and her family and how much the Alzheimer's is affecting her and how much it's really harming her life. The fact that she is forgetting so much more, that she's having to use her phone to write things down. She's having to use other things like recording herself on her computer so she can go back and remember what happened the day before. But how much it's also fracturing her relationship with her kids and also her husband. Now, the thing with... I'll go to a few negatives first, because the movie itself needs to be praised, but I think the down part of the film itself, in my opinion, is Alec Baldwin's character, who plays her husband, John. Out of everyone in this film, I think his character is slightly underwritten and badly realised, because he plays the husband of her, and some of the decisions he makes during the film is very mundane and very boring, to be honest. It's very... You were hoping that he would actually be there with her, and he decides to just go into the background. The director doesn't show his character to be scared of what's going on. It just shows his character to not... It sounds really bad, to not care that much, which is annoying considering what is happening. The rest of the film, however, just alleviates above all the negativity in the movie, because Julianne Moore is outstanding in the film. She plays somebody who's happy with her life, who's going on with her life, very normal, and then with the Alzheimer's taking control of her, taking hold of her, how much she deteriorates over the period of time of the movie and how much she forgets, and she just plays her character brilliantly. I can't believe I'm saying this as well, but Kristen Stewart in the film is fantastic. This is by far her best role. Out of everything that she's done, she doesn't have a much... The problem we've had with Kristen Stewart, and especially me, is she doesn't show very much emotion on her face. It's like she just injects her face constantly with Botox, so it's staying in exactly the same position all the time. But the way she handles her character and the emotions and the way she speaks is fantastic. Kate Bosworth also is really good in the movie, but I think it's down... Julianne Moore and Kristen Stewart are the rising stars of the film. It's beautifully shot. There are a few tear-jerking moments. I actually did cry in the movie near to the end of the film. I'm not going to say why. And there's a beautiful scene which involves Alice and John on the beach, and when they're recanting over what their life was like and what they want to do. That's beautifully set up. So despite the film having a few tiny little negatives, it definitely needs to be seen for Julianne Moore and Kristen Stewart's performance. So I think Kristen Stewart is going to get forgotten slightly in the movie because of how brilliant Julianne Moore is and because of the fact that she won the Oscar for her part. I think Kristen Stewart needs a bit of attention as well.
I'm surprised actually, because I was wondering how she would been how she was in the film, because I mean obviously Kristen Stewart is one of these actresses who has been very there's been roles where she's been good, but there's been a lot of roles where she's not been good.
Yeah, from what I've heard also, she's in a movie called Camp X-Ray and we've not had it over here yet, and she's supposed to be fantastic in that as well. So I think it's probably down to the direction that she's been given, because by the looks of things, if you look at all of her emotional face reactions in the movies, they seem to be exactly the same. And it's sort of like off-putting the way she doesn't have any lines in her face or anything like that. And it seems to be slightly off-putting, but I think she's starting to come into her own. She's starting to become an actress which needs to be noted for. And I've picked onto her a lot, but I've finally seen her in a role which she definitely deserves a lot of praise. And Still Alice is definitely one of them. It would have been nice for her to be nominated for Best Supporting Actress. That's how good I think she is in the film.
Okay. Moving on then to Kill the Messenger, which is based on the true events that happened surrounding a reporter by the name of Gary Webb, who wrote a book which this is based on, who he's a reporter who was in a sort of a small sub local newspaper in Los Angeles, not one of the big writers like Los Angeles Times, any of the big things like that. But he stumbles onto a document that's given to him by a woman whose husband is up for in court to do with drug dealing. She's received documents in error, which show that there are links between the drug dealings and potentially the CIA. He starts to investigate this, puts out some stories that he's written based on this, gets massive traction and sort of a big sort of interest from the media and the world, almost starting a sort of a riot because of the things that are going on in the country with sort of the drug areas and in particular with sort of the black sort of neighborhoods that are heavily sort of affected by drug dealing. And it's a case of that then he starts to receive sort of not necessarily threats but things happening, sort of a smear campaign against him, trying to affect him and his career, to sort of bring his sort of story and his sort of integrity and his journalism into question. It's a film which you have the main character played by Jeremy Renner, who is giving a fantastic performance in it, and I'm going to play this clip here. It's just a quick one of him when he actually goes at one point to interview a guy and finds that there is more to the story than he realises at first. Here's a clip.
So what do you know about Danilo Blando?
I don't know.
Oh, come on, Ricky. Danilo's going to testify against you tomorrow.
He's the witness they've been hiding.
Man, ain't no way they flipped Danilo, man.
Sit down
Nah.
and listen to what he has to say.
They didn't flip anyone. Blandon was working for the government the entire time.
You for real?
Yeah.
Look here, man, he was 1,000 times heavier than I'll ever be. I couldn't sell it fast enough to keep up with supply.
Wait, you mean demand?
No, I mean supply. I was buying 100 kilos a week, selling $3 million a day, and still couldn't get rid of that inventory fast enough, man. It was raining coke.
Allegedly, Ricky.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Look here, man, I gave him $6 million a week, allegedly.
That's impossible.
Is it?
How do you sell that much cocaine on the street?
Look here, man, we used to cook it with baking soda. We called it Ready Rock. Powder was for rich folks. Look here, man, I was just the elf. Blandon Santa Claus.
So here's the thing with Kill the Messenger. It is a kind of thing that when I was watching it at times I was thinking back to Michael Mann's movie The Insider, the one with Russell Crowe, and it's a very similar thing. He's not a guy who's involved in this. He is an outsider. He is a journalist that stumbled onto this when no one else has, and he kind of blows it wide open. But also then as a result of that, there are obviously people that don't want this to come to light, that want maybe revenge on him for this. And it's a good character piece because it is a great performance from Jeremy Renner. It is perhaps his only real film that he's had, which since The Hurt Locker, which was one that allowed him to focus on his acting, and it hasn't been an action film or hasn't been anything else that's required him to be, doing action scenes. There's not any action in this. It is a thriller. It is it's almost like a political thriller. Even though there's no real politics involved, it still has the whole thing of the CIA and the government. And it has some good scenes in it that he's definitely great at showing the tension that it takes and the toll that the whole thing of this takes on him. And I would say this is actually perhaps the best performance we've seen from Jeremy Renner. In fact, I'm surprised that it's not had any sort of big things come out of it because of it being this good a role. I mean, and I have to wonder, has it been affected because of the subject? Because it's still a touchy subject. It's a all-round great drama. It's quite exhausting to watch. It's not a long film. It's 2 hours long. It's not even. I think it's just under 2 hours long. But it's a film that you come out at the end of it, and there's elements that happen towards the end as well, which I don't want to go into because it is a spoiler. Don't look it up beforehand. Don't go and find out anything about it beforehand if you can help it. But see the film with completely fresh brain, no knowledge on it at all, and honestly come out surprised as I was, but quite impressed at it, and also quite worried.
It's a movie that it's probably going to get released direct to DVD pretty much very quickly, to be honest, isn't it? Because it doesn't seem to have... It hasn't been distributed properly.
It is. I mean, and I think it's part of... It has had people... I'm not saying that there's a conspiracy against it, but I think it's one of these films that it's not necessarily been people going, don't show this. I think it's been people going, we don't want to really publicise this because we don't want to get the backlash from it that might potentially come. It's sort of, I think, scaremongering and fear that's caused it to be given a sort of a very wet release.
Yeah, which it's annoying for films like this. Just be slightly more brave. I don't think my cinema was actually showing it, so there was no way of me seeing the film, which is slightly annoying because it sounds interesting.
It is. It's a good drama. I would say definitely try and see it if you can.
Yep. Final film of this of the cinema section is White Bird in the Blizzard. It's directed by Greg Araki. It's written by him as well, based on a book by Laura Kazishki. I hope I've got her name right. But it's written by her. It's a very interesting story. It stars Shailene Woodley, who's going to be in Insurgent in a couple of weeks' time. And it centres around her character of Kat Connors, who's 17-year-old. She's living with her mother, who's played by Eva Green. She goes to school. She's a very typical 17-year-old. She's got a boyfriend. She's got a few interesting friends. One of them played by Shola Fernandez, who she seems to end up having a relationship in the film itself. And everything seems to be normal. Then one day she comes home and her mother's not there, which seems really strange to her because her mother's always there cooking a tea when she gets home, but she's not there. And a day goes by and her mother's still not turned up, and then all of a sudden she realises that something might be wrong, and so her mother could have disappeared. And so she goes out to try and look for her mother, while also being the typical teenager that she is. And the rest of the film centres around her trying to look for her mother, but also going back to see what her relationship was like with her mother. And here's a clip which indicates what it was like.
You look like I looked when I was you.
What?
I mean, you look like I looked when I was your age.
Whatever, lurker. What? What do you want?
Nothing.
Oh my god, stop gawking at me or creeping me out. Just, get out of here. Just leave me alone.
The movie is really strange. You've got a character who's played by Thomas Jane, which Kat seems to have a bit of an interesting relationship. There's a couple of very uncomfortable scenes between both the characters in the movie. You see a lot, and I mean a lot, of Shailene Woodley, which is, again, very strange to see considering that she is in Insurgent, a film that's aimed at teenagers, and this film doesn't seem to be that. That seems to be one of the problems with the movie. Even though it's a 15-rated film, and it centres around a 17-year-old, a rebellious 17-year-old who's trying to look for her mother, it seems to doesn't know what it wants to be aimed at. And also the film just loses its original plot. Because the start of the film is centred around her character trying to look for her mother. And then for about 2/3 of the movie, it just throws that away. And it just is all about Kat and her 17-year-old life with her two best friends, one of them played by Gabriella Sidibe, and just how much they chat around and how much she's having a relationship with a much older man, and could have a relationship with her father be fractured, or could her father have something, an involvement with the disappearance of her mother, and it loses the plot completely, and so it feels like it's two different movies. And it doesn't fit very well. It's like having two completely separate jigsaw puzzles, but never having all the pieces there to fit them into one whole. Shailene Woodley's really good in the movie, and her father, who's played by Christopher Maloney, he's fine as well. But the scene stealers is Eva Green. Eva Green, anytime when she's on the screen, you better be careful, because if you're not on top, and not on your A game, she is going to obliterate you out of the water. Because even in bad movies, you look at 300 last year, and
300 Rise of an Empire, the second one.
Yeah, and Sin City as well, A Dame to Kill For. They're terrible, terrible movies, but the standout performance is Eva Green. And she knows how to go over the top when she needs to. And it's in this movie, 1 minute she's the normal housewife, and then the next minute she's a psychopathic itch with the B. And so it's just our character is really interesting. The rest of the film is not. It's nicely shot, but it's just the director going, ooh, I'm kooky, I'm quirky. That's the kind of film I'm going to make. It loses its weird because it just feels like two different films.
So do you think then Shailene Woodley has been miscast in the role?
No, I think the film has been mismade, to be honest. Shailene Woodley's fine. She latches onto her character really well. I just think the director doesn't know what to do with the movie because he's got two ideas and he's trying to meld them together, thinking that it will make one whole movie, when in fact it makes a bit of a mess, which is annoying. Right, that's it for the cinema releases for this week. We'll be back in a moment after an advert with the DVD and Blu-ray releases.
There was a real sense of you were doing something wrong, but that did give it that feeling of excitement.
When the reveal of the film happens, that's when it just becomes absurd.
And the atmosphere and just the sense you get whenever you go into it is undeniable.
It did absolutely zero for me, which could be for the hype.
What we've just discussed there is just scratching the surface on it.
Hi, I'm Eric England, the director of Contracted, and you're listening to From Page to Screen, the horror show.
And we're back with this week's DVD and Blu-ray home releases section, which will have, as usual, go through the DVD and Blu-ray top 10 and a look at these releases.
We have horror movie based on the board game that Hasbro created in Ouija, The Imitation Game starring Benedict Cumberbatch, 71, which is an IRA movie with Jack O'Connell in it, drama, comedy with 100 Foot Journey, and horror movie Dark Circles.
But as already said, we're going straight into the UK DVD and Blu-ray top 10, starting at number 10 with Dying of the Light.
I've not seen this.
Yeah, I was wondering if you had or not. It is an okay straight-to-video release. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not brilliant. I mean, it is Nicolas Cage doing the Nicolas Cage performance. Have you seen that video incidentally online of Nicolas Cage just doing? I can't remember what it's called. Nicolas Cage loses his something. And it just has scenes of him doing that in films. It's not bad, it's actually kind of toned down a bit, but it's nothing special. At number 9 is a re-entry for The Lion King.
Yeah, the first of the Disney re-entries, and they haven't got the buy one get one free deal on at the moment, to my knowledge.
They've got it back on. I think the reason that The Lion King's gone in is because the Lion King 3D version has been included now in the buy one get one free.
And Easter is coming up, so they really do time it, don't they, when proper holidays are coming up to do these buy one get one free. So we're going to see a slew of Disney films in the top 10. The Lion King is one of their best ones.
Yep, and Beauty and the Beast is at number 8.
Alongside Beauty and the Beast, because I absolutely adore Beauty and the Beast.
Number 7 is Game of Thrones complete 4th season. Moving on to number 6, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
It's not as bad as a lot of people made it out to be. It could have been an absolute car crash of a movie, but it doesn't fall under that category. It is very, very low common denominator kind of thing, but it's brain dead and it does what it sets out to do.
We're back into TV land with Sons of Anarchy season 7 at number 5. We'll move on to new entry number 4, Pride.
I thought this was a fantastic film. The best British film of last year, in my opinion. Brilliantly acted, very interesting storyline, telling the story of miners in 1984 and the miners striking about a group of people trying to help them out. But this group of people happen to be lesbian, gays and bisexuals and transgender people. And so it's a brilliant film, very funny, very... The drama is very well implemented in the movie as well. This is how to do a comedy drama.
Yep, totally agree. Also, new entry at number 3 is Nightcrawler.
Yeah, extremely creepy movie. It really does get under your skin a lot. It's down to the way the movie looks. It's down to the way it's acted as well by Jake Gyllenhaal. And Jake Gyllenhaal is by far my favourite actor, and he can play these kind of characters with such aplomb. Like I said, it's deplorable, but deplorable in a good way, because the movie itself, you cannot take your eyes off it.
Yep. Number 2, dropping down from last week's number 1, is Fury.
Yeah, I'm starting to think is David Ayer as one of these one-time brilliant directors, because I really liked End of Watch, and after that he's just made very, very basic films, because I hated Sabotage, and this movie is better than Sabotage, but it just feels very straight-laced and too clean, too polished. I just felt the movie just lacked any kind of oomph.
Okay, which means that the new number 1 in the UK DVD and Blu-ray top 10, quite surprising, but quite pleased I am actually, Mr. Turner.
Yeah, I didn't like the film. I thought Timothy Spall was really good in the movie, but I found the movie very boring, to be honest. It centres around the artist of Turner, whose life is not interesting at all. There wasn't anything I found really interesting in the movie at all, and it's stupidly too long.
I will admit that it is too long at 2.5 hours running time. Could have been cut down for that, but I think it's a very worthy film of being number 1. But anyway, enough of that. Let's go on to this week's first review. I'll let you get away with it then. Go, take it away, Stuart.
Yeah, Ouija. It's directed by Styles White and it stars Olivia Cook, and it centres around a group of friends who discover one of their friends has hung herself after playing the elusive Ouija board and not following the rules, even though the rules are set out at the start of the movie, that at the end of your Ouija board session you've got to say goodbye and you've got to say a specific incantation at the start of it. And these rules are broke practically instantaneously. And so their friend has committed suicide. They're wondering what has happened. And here's a clip which explains why they want to use the Ouija board again.
When I'm in that house, it just feels strange.
You miss Debbie. I mean, we all do.
No, this is different. I can't explain it. It's like she's there.
Lainey, listen, everyone's still in shock, okay? But those things you were telling me the other day about feeling guilty, you don't have to keep doing this to yourself.
You ever feel like even after someone you love has died, there's still a way you can talk to them?
You can't do that. She's gone.
The board, isn't that what you're supposed to do with it?
Yesterday you said it was just a game.
If we play the game and nothing happens, then I'll never bring it up again. But I really want to try, so will you guys just do this with me?
And you can probably tell where the movie goes from there, because this is one of the most signpost horror movies by the book numbered films I've seen in a very long time. It's stupidly bad. It's really badly put together. The characters in the movie are really terribly written. Because, like I said at the start of the review, they break the rules straight away. Even though you've got the rules and they set them out, they say it distinctively, this is what you must do. And then they stupidly break them, and every single time they use the Ouija board, they're wondering why they're getting attacked by these ghostly entities. Because they keep forgetting to say goodbye at the bottom to close supposedly the portal between the dead and the living. And so if you're going to do that, I don't care if you get your head ripped off. I don't care if you hang yourself or anything like that, because you've brought it onto yourself if you believe in this kind of claptrap. The movie is not scary. It's badly shot. It's badly directed. It's just... The only good thing about the movie is an appearance in the film by Lynn Shear. And like Eva Green, she can alleviate a really bad film. However, she can't even save this movie. She plays an eccentric old woman who supposedly has reason behind why this spirit is attacking them and had killed their friend. But you don't care. And the film is terrible. It's just really bad.
Okay, from bad to good. See what I did there?
Yeah.
The Imitation Game, which is the Oscar-nominated film with... Benedict Cumberbatch playing Alan Turing, the man who, I mean, it's not a spoiler, the man who eventually went ahead and, working with the team, built a machine to actually crack the Enigma code during World War II. It's it's based on a book written by Graham Moore. Based on a book by Andrew Hodges. The movie is written by Graham Moore. And directed by Morton Tyldum. But the thing is, it's a film that's based on the book, so obviously not an exact faithfulness. Apparently I've heard lots of things saying that it's not entirely faithful, but centering around the character of Alan Turing, who, as we are introduced to him early on, you realise he's not quite sort of the most social of people. Here's a clip.
That's what you're doing here, the top secret program at Bletchley. You're trying to break the German Enigma machine.
What makes you think that?
It's the greatest encryption device in history, and the Germans use it for all major communications. If the Allies broke Enigma, well, this would turn into a very short war indeed. Of course, that's what you're working on. But you also haven't got anywhere with it. If you had, you wouldn't be hiring cryptographers out of university. You need me a lot more than I need you. I like solving problems, Commander. And Enigma is the most difficult problem in the world.
No, Enigma isn't difficult, it's impossible. The Americans, the Russians, the French, the Germans, everyone thinks Enigma is unbreakable.
Good. Let me try, and we'll know for sure, won't we?
So, try he does, and he does. It is a film which is centre on the performance of Benedict Cumberbatch, but also the supporting performance of the people around him, in particular Keira Knightley, who plays the sort of only woman really involved with the sort of the main code breaking, who is sort of introduced as a woman who applies for this competition, is one of the sort of the few that can manage to actually do a test quicker than Turing. And you have other people there like Matthew Good, you have Mark Strong making an appearance as kind of the first sort of I can't remember if it was MI5 or MI6, but the sort of the first sort of incantation of that the first sort of establishment of the sort of the British services in that regard. And as you heard in that clip as well, you have Charles Dance, who is the commander of the team, who is the commander of the base, who is completely sort of unbelieving of Alan Turing's methods and his talent. It is a great performance piece. It is quite an emotional one as well, because you get involved with the character, and also the whole thing of the character is, or the man was a gay man, which at the time when this happened was an illegal act, and he was ultimately forced into a situation where he had to take drugs to stop him from having any kind of sexual relationship. And it focuses on the whole thing of the breaking of the code more than it focuses on the character, on the man, which is a shame, because it would have been nice to see more of that side of him. It's a great performance from Benedict Cumberbatch. Don't take that away from it at all. It is a great performance, and it's worth seeing for being a great film. It's just it could have been, I think, a better film had it stayed focused more on him and not just about sort of focusing on the Enigma, because it also has these sequences that show young Alan Turing, played by Alex Lawther, who is fantastic in the film, has sort of flashbacks to him when he's younger and sets up the character, and I think it tries to go there, but it doesn't sort of fulfill that by movie's end, which is a shame. But don't let that put you off. Check it out if you haven't seen it. It is a very, very good drama.
Yeah, it's a very interesting one as well, if you didn't know a lot about the Enigma Code, because it is one of those movies where it explores it, rather than just fleeting around with it, like a lot of these biographies that we've seen over the last few years. It properly explores the character of Alan Turing. It shows you in three different parts of his life, and three important parts of his life, rather than trying to stretch his entire life over the period of 2 hours. It shows you the three elements of his life which hit him the hardest when he was a kid, when he was trying to crack the Enigma Code, and sort of like the resulting experience that he had to go through after cracking the Enigma Code. And so it's brilliantly played by Benedict Cumberbatch, and like you said, Alex Lawler, when he is a kid in that, when he's getting bullied in school and sort of like finding his first love, and the unfortunate events that happen on that front. And so it's an interesting movie to learn about the Enigma Code and his life.
Yeah, I just wish that it had, especially towards the tail end of the film, done that, focused more on his life after the events of Enigma breaking, because it's kind of I feel that it focuses too much on the whole thing of breaking Enigma, and not so much. I think at that point it loses its focus on the character, and instead focuses on what he did more than him.
Yeah, but the problem there is for it to be for it to actually do it justice, if it needed to do that, because I think it handles the Enigma section very well, with it interleaving some of the backstory of Turing and also him recounting his tale to the police officer after him being arrested. It would have needed to been a much longer film, and so I don't think the film would have been able to sustain 2.5-3 hours for it to tell the whole entire story. And so there are areas where they had to cut back just to make specific areas more relevant, and the film itself is the initial part of the film is about the cracking of the Enigma code. That's what a lot of people are going to be interested in first and foremost, and so that's the part that they had to concentrate on. So I can see why they did it that way.
Yeah, I just wish it had been more. I found by the end of the film, I wish there had been more on him and not. I felt rushed at the end, but I can understand. Yeah, but I still wish there'd been that.
Yeah, understandable. Right, next up is 71. It's directed by Jan Demange and it stars Jack O'Connell. It's a very simple storyline. It's set on the streets of Belfast in 1971. Jack O'Connell plays Gary Hook. He's part of the British Army. He thinks that he's going home, but then he's told that his squadron is getting shipped over to Belfast to help out with the ongoing feud that's happening between Christians and Protestants and just every kind of different religion in Ireland. If you know what happened during quite a few years, it's still happening now. There are lots of fights and things like that breaking out, and so he plays the soldier that gets sent over there. After his squadron is attacked one night, he's left on his own. He's abandoned there, and so he has to fend for himself with the help of this couple who tried to help him out a little bit after he's been attacked from an explosion that happens under a bar. And then these other people who are hunting him down, even though there is corruption that's happening with the police force in there as well. And so it's sort of like a cat and mouse movie. We don't have a clip for the film because all the clips out there just is the music of the movie. And if there was any speech in it, there'll probably just be lots of expletives. So it would just be lots of bleeps over music, and that wouldn't have been interesting. The film itself got a lot of praise because of Jack O'Connell's role, and he won the Rising Star Award at the BAFTAs. But that's down to 71 and Starred Up, and what was the third film he was in last year?
The one directed by Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, Unbroken.
I can't remember it either. Unbroken, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, which was released on Boxing Day. I've not yet seen that film, and so he got a lot of praise for his acting career during 2014. He definitely deserves it. Even though I think with this film, it's a bit strange because his character doesn't do a lot. His character doesn't speak that much. He's an injured person, and he plays injured very well. But he's just not an interesting character because he doesn't have very much dialogue. And so I don't know where the acting plaudits have gone with Jack O'Connell. The film itself is very good. It's very gritty, very dark, very brutal at times, very well directed. It's got you can definitely see that turmoil is happening here and how run down the area is where in Belfast where it's actually happening. And so I don't know where the plaudits has come from for Jack O'Connell. Because his character could have been played by anybody, to be honest, because he just has to play somebody who's injured. So I can't see it from that point of view, and so the film itself is not as good as a lot of people are making it out to be, in my opinion, but it is still a really interesting, very well-made film.
Okay, The 100-Foot Journey, which is a drama which centres around a family who were introduced at the very start, sort of led by the father of the family, played by Om Puri. The main character we sort of learn through sort of flashback and voiceover of Hassan, played by Manish Dayal, is a young man who has been sort of forced to leave India with his father and his brothers and sisters. Found themselves sort of travelling around different areas, sort of seeking asylum in London, and then moving across to different places where they started travelling through Europe. All after things happened and his mother was killed early on. His mother, who was sort of the cook in the family and was teaching him sort of his trade of cooking, sort of interested in him in this and got him involved in this. Is sort of still that sort of essence with him, which forces him to sort of carry on himself, learning these skills of cooking while they are sort of travelling. When their car breaks down in France, they end up sort of coming upon this little village. They walk into sort of the village at one point and see this place which is for sale. He is there with his father, and the two of them sort of go in there to have a look. Here's a clip.
Bonjour. Puis-je vous aider? Can I help you?
Sorry. We were just looking around here.
This is private property.
Okay, Papa, let's go.
Excuse me, do you own this property?
No.
Oh, then you are trespassing too.
Papa.
Do you know the owner of this place?
Yes, I know them very well.
1 minute.
They've gone back to Paris. But they asked me to keep an eye out for them.
Oh, I bet you do. How much are they asking?
Papa, please.
1 minute, relax.
Oh. You must understand that a property of this size in this village would be very expensive. Well, I heard you asked for a discount in Claude's hotel.
Papa, you didn't.
चुप रह.
What did you not do?
बात करने दे मुझे. Madam, asking for discount doesn't mean I'm poor. It means I'm thrifty.
So ultimately, the family buys this place they've got and set up, organising around to actually set up an Indian hotel. What's the issue is that you heard there the character played by Helen Mirren, Madame Mallory, who runs literally across from them, the 100 feet across from them, as is the title, is running a sort of a 1-star Michelin restaurant, and is sort of battling trying to get them, and also sort of treats them as the enemy. And it's all about the whole thing of them, and also focusing on Hassan, who is continuing his culinary skills while also sort of engaging with a trainee chef that is also sort of working in Madame Mallory's kitchen. It is surprising that this film is as enjoyable and fun as it is. It's a particularly charming film. It's a 2-hour long film. It doesn't quite feel 2 hours long. It's only rated PG as well. There's nothing in it that sort of offends to anyone. And the thing is that it's amazingly sort of engrossing as drama. The characters in it are surprisingly, this is the weird thing, surprisingly the character of Hassan and the character of Papa, Puri's character, and even Madame Mallory, as much as Helen Mirren is not giving her best performance that she could, is surprising that you get into it that much, considering that there are other characters such as the rest of the family, which involves a sister and a brother and another sort of younger sister and brother, that kind of fall to the wayside and get completely forgotten about in some parts of the film. But it's a great drama that it feels like, we're talking about films like the second best Marigold Hotel, the original best Marigold Hotel, which are kind of aimed at an older audience. And this feels like it was maybe, they were thinking, we're aiming at an older audience, but it succeeds in being a possible film you could view with any age. You could watch this with your family, you could watch this with kids, you watch it with grandparents, and there will be something in here that everyone will find and they'll get into it. It's that good a drama that it's just a pleasant, charming 2 hours film.
You asked me during the clip if I've seen it, and I haven't, because I hadn't very much time. Does it feel like it's sort of like a safe, wishy-washy kind of movie, or is it a movie that's much more head and shoulders above that?
It's not. I mean, it's a safe film, but it's not playing safe. It has, there's the story of, it has dark elements in it. Of obviously, we opened with the story of how his mother was killed when something happened in India, and you have this whole thing of there is even a point at one point where their restaurant is burned and set on fire by people that work in the kitchen across the road, because they start getting jealous and they start having things get out of hand. And it has dark elements, but it doesn't ever go to a point where it's being safe. It doesn't ever go to a point where the worst of the worst things happen, but there are bad things happening in it, and that's what's surprising about it, that it manages to do that. But you come out at the end, you go, that was a really good 2 hours. I really enjoyed it. And also that, not only that, it's like Chef, in that when you're watching it, don't watch it on an empty stomach. You will get hungry watching it.
I didn't think very much of Chef, to be honest. So,
but you did get hungry watching it.
No,
Oh.
I don't suffer that kind of thing. But to be honest, I get more hungry after while watching a zombie movie.
That's really worrying.
Yeah, that is a lot about me, that, doesn't it? A final film of the night is Dark Circles, or as it's known as over here in the UK, it's Nightmare. So it's Dark Circles in the US, Nightmare over here. It was released in 2013 in the US under the After Dark label. And so the film itself is directed by Paul Sorter, and it centers around, it's a very stereotypical kind of story. It centers around a couple who they've just given birth, the wife of the couple has just given birth to a baby boy, and they decide to move away from the city life into the country life, and they find this slightly dilapidated house, but it's still pretty nice considering what you normally expect from these kind of houses, and strange things occur, and they need to wonder what's going on. And the film itself, it does sound like the stereotypical quiet bang kind of movie with shadows coming to life or something attacking them from nowhere and strange voices and all that stuff. But the more you dig down into the film and the more you discover what's going on, the more interesting the film becomes, and then you think it takes a turn, and it takes a turn in the right direction rather than just going down an alleyway where you would expect, like I said, the very stereotypical quiet bang moments. And so the movie itself got more interesting me to the end of the film when I was just about losing hope in it, because I was thinking that it was just going to be another one of these boring movies where we included in the last film of the week to be sort of like the bargain basement movie. But in the end, it didn't turn out like that, because the director just thought, we'll change it up a little bit and changed away from the ghosty kind of things. And so the end part is when the movie gets really interesting. Just stick with it, because I know people will lose faith in the film as they go through it. The end part sort of like helps it alleviates it a little bit. It's very average, but it goes from being quite mundane and boring to be average, and so that's a good thing in a way.
So it's a good payoff at the end then?
Yeah.
Okay. Nice surprising end to the show then for the last review, which is normally sort of the bargain basement sort of thing. You don't find anything sort of redeeming in the film you cover then. That's it for this week's show. Thank you for listening to us live if you have been. If you're listening to us anywhere else, in particular places like iTunes or on the Speaker websites, then please feel free to give us some feedback on there. Before we go off to round off the show and give you our movie of the week, TV movie of the week.
Well, you kick off, because me and you have got one of the same.
Yeah, we both picked Kick-Ass, which is on Friday the 13th at 10 o'clock on Channel 4. Surprisingly I haven't got any films this week. I've got BBC 3 doing Saturday the 14th at 8:30pm, Real Steel, the Hugh Jackman film about the giant robots. And it's a fun film, and it's again one of these ones that I was surprised how much I enjoyed it and got into it. So if you've got a chance, it's worth checking out, because it's a family kind of film as well. Kick-Ass, not Kick-Ass, Real Steel. Don't watch Kick-Ass with your family, because no.
Both of my films are not family friendly, because one of them was Kick-Ass, which like you said is on Friday the 13th at 10 o'clock on Channel 4. My other film is on 5 Star on Wednesday. That's tomorrow night if you listen to the show live. The 11th at 9 o'clock. I really like the film, to be honest. It's Jeepers Creepers. It's got some interesting elements in the movie. I especially loved the Cathedral of Skin, which it sounds nasty, but yeah, when you get into this church and you see the bodies lining the walls of the church, that's I thought that was a really well implemented moment, and the creator, the creeper himself. The creation of the creeper is really well created. He's a very malevolent, nasty character. And so I like Jeepers Creepers. So that's on Wednesday the 11th at 9 o'clock on 5 Star.
And it's one to watch with the volume turned up quite loud, because there's a scene involving a truck and a horn, which is quite menacing.
Yes.
Yeah. So a few shout outs as usual. You can find us Monday Movie Show at yahoo.com is where you can email us if you want to give us any feedback as well directly. MondayMovieShow.co.uk is the website where you can find updates and details of where next week's show will be happening. Hopefully back on Monday, sort of the normal time. You can reach us on Twitter at Monday Movie Show. Stuart can be reached at Cryptic Tadpole. I'm on there at AHDVD. And you can also find us on Facebook.com/Monday Movie Show. Also shout out, as we have the advert in the middle of the show, from page 2 screen with the number 2, not TO in the middle.com, and also followingthenerd.com, which is a site where Stuart's involved on their show on Thursdays. As far as I know, they're back this Thursday because they weren't last time. And fingers crossed everything's working because they had technical difficulties previously, but hopefully that will all be sorted this week. So, movie of the week.
Still Alice.
I'm going to say Kill the Messenger. Though if it's on DVD, Imitation Game.
71.
Oh, all four.
Sort of.
Yeah. So you've got quite a few to choose from, but it's been a good week all round.
Yep.
We're going to leave you with a clip of the only sort of big major film coming out this week, which is the Liam Neeson starring movie Run All Night, which, I mean, the clip really doesn't do it justice because it's just Liam Neeson talking on a phone. But it's kind of, well, not doing much different, but doing something slightly different than Taken, where he's trying to protect his family from a revengeful hitman that's being sort of sent out by a revenge family of Ed Harris. But we will sort of see that this week and let you know how it goes next week's show. Until then, bye-bye.
Bye.
Howdy. Evening, Detective. This is Jimmy Conlon.
You got some nerve. I got 15 witnesses that say you ran a cop car at Jamaica Avenue, killing an officer, while your son killed his partner.
I killed that cop, not Michael.
If your son's anything like you, he's probably laughing when he pulled the trigger.
I need your help.
I am the last person on this earth that you should be asking help from.
You're the only cop I can trust.
There's no way out this time. And I'm pretty sure that I can find a witness that says your boy did it.
Tell me what you want.
Names. All of them. Every life you took. Every family you ruined. You give me that, and maybe I'll listen to your son.
Not yet. I need to take care of a few things.
Turn yourself in.
You drink coffee, Harding?
Yeah. 6 cups a day for the last 30 years.
Put in a little extra sugar. It's going to be a long night.